Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and it's been a few days since Battlefront came out, so I thought it was about time I gave you guys my first impressions. As you know, this is a game I've been looking forward to for a long time, but the question is it as good as we thought it would be? Well, in general I'd say I really like the game so far, but like any new game, there's a few issues which could affect its survivability long term. On the plus side though, it does run very well and the connection seems pretty stable, which is more than can be said for BF4 at launch 2 years ago. Before we start though, I should mention that I've only had the game since it came out here on the 19th, so to be honest I still haven't tried every single feature. What that means is that I might miss a few things, or I might cover things that end up getting a patch sometime in the future. I have done my best to get a good general sense of the game, so I can be pretty certain I stand by all the points I'm going to bring up in this video. As always though, if you agree or disagree, let me know what you think in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear from you. But anyway, to kick off with the good things, well, to start with, the game looks and sounds amazing, running at a very smooth 900p 60fps on PS4. By amazing, I mean the textures look a lot better than BF4 and COD, and it even gets close to Destiny, which runs at half the frame rate. There also doesn't seem to be any frame drops like you get in BF4 and Hardline, which probably has a lot to do with the smaller scale of the game. That being said though, this isn't really a bad thing, and to be honest I think I probably prefer the smaller 40-player maps rather than the chaos of 64-player servers. Another benefit, especially for casual players, is the fact that Battlefront is way more arcadey than BF4, meaning it's a lot easier to learn. The damage model of the game is also a lot more forgiving, so you don't get punished quite as much if you do make a mistake. The gunplay is a lot simpler than other shooters too, with a lack of variables like bullet drop and different accuracy models for ADS and hipfire. In a lot of ways, this makes it like a cross between Battlefield and an arena shooter, so it's a perfect game for casual players who still want that large-scale experience. Now, another interesting feature is that you can go into third-person view if you prefer that style of gameplay. Personally, I feel a little more comfortable with first-person, but third-person does give you a wider field of view. Because you can go into third person and actually see your character, there's also quite a lot more soldier customization than there is in BF4. Also, the skin of your soldier changes depending on what map you're on, which is a really neat feature that ties in well with the movies. And finally, I should point out that the battle pickup system is a really good idea, which once again is very similar to old arena shooters. Special weapons, turrets, vehicles and heroes are all activated by tokens found around the map, so you can go and grab them when you need them. One of the best things about this new system is the fact that it makes it a lot harder to camp the vehicles, and it makes it impossible to steal enemy vehicles. And this is one of my pet peeves in BF4, so I'm really glad to see DICE haven't let the problem continue into Battlefront. Now, as for the bad, well, there's actually quite a bit here to cover, but the main thing that you'll notice as soon as you start playing is the fact that the team balance is currently pretty terrible. There's no auto balancer and no team switch option like there is in BF4, so if you get stuck on a bad team, you'll probably find yourself stuck there for quite a while. Also, there's no incentive to play with a group of friends or work as a team, because you can only have one partner in Battlefront. To be honest though, even if you did have a squad, you don't really need the support anyway, because your character has unlimited ammo and your health regenerates very quickly. And speaking of unlimited ammo, well, the gadgets also have unlimited ammo, including the thermal detonator and the pulse cannon, which really shouldn't. No one really likes grenade spam or weapons that kill in one hit, and well, as long as these gadgets have unlimited ammo, that's going to be a big part of the Battlefront experience. Instead of ammo, the gadgets have a cooldown mechanic which kind of slows down the spamming, but the problem is that the cooldown is way too fast. You can even buy upgrades which reduce the cooldown time, so once the majority of the player base have got these unlocked, the problem is only going to get worse. Now, speaking of other balancing issues, well, the heroes are very strong and very cool to play with, but for everyone else they can be annoying as hell. I know heroes are a big part of Battlefront games, but I think they're a bit like the gunship in BF4, which dominates all the infantry who can't do a thing about it. Unlike vehicles, heroes are faster than regular soldiers, which means most of the time you can't escape from them and you have to stand and fight. The problem is though, the heroes can tank enormous amounts of damage, so in a nutshell, if a hero sees you, you pretty much have no chance at all. The playable vehicles are also quite powerful, but they don't seem too unbalanced, and to be honest, they don't really have a huge impact on a lot of games anyway. The AT-STs are impossible to hide, unlike tanks in BF4, and they can also take damage from regular blaster fire as well. The real issue, I think, is with the starfighters, which firstly don't really have an impact on the battle, and secondly don't feel that satisfying to fly. It's a bit like the jets in BF4. They're fun to use every now and then, but at the end of the day, they're just an extra feature tacked on to an infantry-based game. Now finally, the really ugly issues, and first and foremost, like I said, is the lack of content, including maps, weapons and customization. To be honest, compared to BF4, this game just feels like a big beater, with only 4 different locations, 11 weapons and absolutely no weapon customization at all. The original games had heaps more maps, and they also had the popular space battle mode, where you had to assault enemy capital ships. But most importantly, the original game had the Galactic Conquest mode, which was kind of like a campaign, and the new game doesn't have one at all. The lack of weapons and customization is probably an even bigger issue because the unlock progression seems to be very fast. It won't take you long at all to unlock all of the weapons and the gadgets, and once you've figured out what your favourite setup is, there's honestly not any reason to use anything else. The weapon balance isn't that great either, and in fact there's actually guns that are just flat out better than other guns in every single aspect. And as far as gadgets go, well, pretty much everyone just uses the pulse cannon and the thermal detonator because they're just so strong. The worst problem though, I think, is the maps, because as authentic as they look, there's just not enough of them. For example, there's only 4 maps in the Supremacy rotation, so once you've played through them a dozen times or so, you've already started to get a bit bored. Think of it like a DLC for BF4. I mean, after a month or so, everyone is sick of the 4-map rotation and they're back to playing the vanilla maps. But in this case, the 4-map rotation is the vanilla map, so where do we go from there? Well, honestly, probably back to another game. And speaking of map rotations, well, just say you like one map in particular. Can you join a server specifically running that map? No, you can't. There's no server browser in Battlefront, meaning you need to join a random server and wait for your favourite map to come up. Also, the fact that you can't select a server means that you can't select the region you want to play in, and therefore it's harder to play with friends around the world. For example, I play BF4 with a lot of Europeans, so we tend to play on West US servers to bridge the gap, which just isn't possible in Battlefront. So all in all, is Battlefront a good game? Well, yes it is, but it just isn't anywhere near on the same level as BF4. DICE have obviously focused on creating a polished working product this time around, and because of this, the game isn't anywhere near as ambitious. Battlefront is one of the best Star Wars games to come out in a long time, but it just doesn't have enough content to keep people interested for more than a few months. And it makes me wonder whether this was intentional, because with BF5 coming out in about a year, maybe they want this game to run out of steam by then. Believe me though, making this review was one of the hardest videos I've had to make in a while, because I desperately wanted this game to blow me away. And the worst thing is, it does blow me away, but the disappointing thing is, I know it won't for 2 years. So bearing this in mind, should you buy Battlefront? Well, I definitely say yes, but I wouldn't rush out straight away and commit to buying any future DLC. This game might be going strong in a year's time, but it also might be dead in 6 months, so I guess we'll have to wait and see whether getting the season pass is actually worth it. But anyway guys, that just about wraps up this review, so let me know what you think of Battlefront in the comments section below, and as always, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description below if you want to see more of my videos, or if you want to support my channel on Patreon. And until next time, see you later, and have a good one.